Insurance agents from around the world, welcome to the Insurance Guys podcast. My name is Scott Howell, your fearless host and leader, insurance agency owner and insurance evangelist for I Protect Insurance and Financial Services, based out of Huntsville, Alabama. And before we get started on today's episode, please help me welcome. He is a 6'3" sophomore from Mobile, Alabama. Parade first team All-American, Rivals 5-star recruit. He is a fantastic insurance agent and a great American. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome the incomparable Mr. Bradley Flowers. How are you, Bradley?
I'm great, Scott. How are you today?
Best I've ever been. Bradley, I'm in Mobile, Alabama, home of the free, land of the brave, and I'm only here by the grace of God. The tornadoes that were projected to be the worst outbreak of tornadoes in the state of Alabama, North Alabama, since May of 2021. And Bradley, hold on. I'm about to bust some knowledge for you. The day we had 10 tornadoes, long track tornadoes, one of which hit James Spann's house in May of 2021. Here's a date that you have forgotten about. I was here podcasting on that day. It was a Tuesday. We had podcasted on Monday, and I had brought my beautiful wife Kim down because we stayed at the Battle House Hotel, and we were going to have hot, dirty monkey sex while we were down here. That morning at 8 a.m., I woke up on Tuesday morning, March of 2021. I don't remember the day. And I called you at 8 a.m. and I said, hey, man, it was real windy down here that morning, like real windy. And I said, Bradley, listen, man, I got to go home. We're expecting some really bad weather today. So, Kent, you said, okay. We did not podcast that day. I started driving home at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we went through Birmingham. And as we were going through Birmingham, those tornadoes hit James Spann's house right behind us. We barely beat it. Mm-hmm. But I got a special guest star on today. He's been on the podcast 736 times.
He had some of that weather this past weekend too.
And by the way, his area, for some reason, in the past 5 to 10 years, have you been getting it more than we have?
Yeah.
So he's used to getting some of that and earning his service stripes as well. Ladies and gentlemen, he is married to the beautiful Shay, rodeo barrel racer. She's the woman of every man's dream. She can do it all. But ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show today my friend and great American and one of the finest human beings on the planet of this earth, Mr. C.J. Huntsonpiller. How are you, C.J.?
Hey, man, I'm great. I'm glad, we're all sitting here. We didn't get blown away by big, F4 come rolling through our backyard. Yep. It's a good day.
Well, it's so crazy because they started talking about Wednesday, and it's like Armageddon, right?
That's right.
And it just kept getting worse and worse and worse, and it didn't even rain.
They made up a color for you guys down there. They're like, South Alabama is in the white zone now.
Yeah. But it didn't even rain at my house. Now, I did lose a tree, actually.
Uprooted.
I lost it was a landscaping tree, so it didn't have, it didn't have a strong, it's actually the second time it's fallen, didn't have a strong root system, but didn't even rain. It's like, Scott and I were talking last night, like it's like tornadic activity is so unpredictable versus like a hurricane or an ice storm, like they can predict where it's going to be. For the most part, you know what I mean? Whereas tornado, it's like, hey, look, we know there's going to be tornadoes in this area. We just don't know where.
Right.
But I've got a storm shelter at my house, which is probably a little excessive, but storm shelter finally got my generator installed.
Wait a minute. Is your storm shelter in your garage?
It's in the garage.
Okay. Yeah, you had that.
Yeah, that's the only spot we could put it.
That's cool.
Had the storm shelter ready to go. Finally got my standby generator installed. And for the first time in my life, when we had bad weather, I was pissed the power didn't go out because I wanted to use my generator. I wanted to use my new toy, But I wanted to cover this real quick. One, because it's relevant. It hit all three of us. It just happened. Today's Wednesday, so it would have been 4 days ago. It's on Saturday. I saw so many agents, y'all, that posted during or after. I saw this one that said posted on Sunday, and he's like, "Hey, we're here at the office. If you need us, we're here filing claims." And then under that it said, scratch that. We don't have power or internet. Call the 800 number. That actually happened.
That's funny.
But I saw, and it was actually somebody I really like. So if he's listening to this, I'm sorry. It was just funny. But
that is pretty damn funny.
I think, and CJ Scott, feel free to jump in here, but like the two things you have to do as an insurance agent when you know there's going to be a catastrophic or close to catastrophic weather event is A, you have to be proactive. You cannot wait until it happens.
Yep.
And B, you have to control the flow of traffic.
Right.
If you cannot control, by traffic, I mean the phone calls, the emails, the texts, and the walk-ins for claims. If you cannot control the flow of traffic, nobody's going to get serviced in an adequate fashion.
Right.
It's almost like how the airlines tell you to put your mask on before you help somebody else. You can't help somebody else if you are unconscious. You cannot help your customers if you cannot adequately control the flow of traffic.
Yep.
So real quick, I'll go through what our catastrophic storm plan is.
Okay.
So we create a special link on the back end of our website. Usually it's portalinsurance.com / the name of the hurricane. All right. That link goes to a form for them to get their claim process started. Okay. So what we do is we text that out to every single customer a day or two before the storm. Okay. If we're not 100% sure if the storm's going to hit here, usually it's the day before, but a day or two before the storm. We also schedule another text message to go out after the storm is hit. I pre-schedule that. That way it's in the queue. That way it'll still go out and it's not dependent upon me having internet for it to go out, okay? The other thing that we will do is we tell our team, anyone that would like to go north or go away from the storm, we will book you a hotel for you and your family under the premise that you work while you're there.
Right.
Right? The other thing that we do is our employees, whether they are VAs or somebody that works in another state, they're on guard, like our phones are going to ring to them. That's a very distinct advantage over your competition, because if your competition does not have that,
right,
you call them and you're getting the because their lines are down.
Correct.
You call our office after a hurricane, the phones ring like normal, right? Our VAs are given a script of exactly what to say. Since they're not licensed, it's like, hey, I'm going to take your information down, pass it to a licensed individual.
Right.
But what happens when you send that text out, a large percentage of people don't call the office, they fill that form out. Okay. And in their mind, their job is done. They've filed the claim, they've started the process, right? All that flows into a CRM. And what it allows us to do is work those claims in order how we best see fit. So you're controlling the traffic.
Right.
Because you're not having everybody call the office. The lines are down. The lines are, all that sort of stuff. Because in a catastrophic situation, the most important thing is the sooner you get your claims in, the better. If you wait just a couple of days, your customer's not talking to that adjuster, not seeing that adjuster at their house for 1 or 2 weeks. They're already jaded. The money's running out. They're about to hit their what they can, you know what I mean? All that sort of stuff. The sooner you can get in, the better. So that's just a little bit. I kept seeing that on Facebook, and I was like, man, these guys, and some of them are captive agents. They can't do all that, but like you've got to be a little bit proactive. And dear Lord, sweet baby Jesus, nothing says I don't give a crap about you more than posting the damn 800 number to Nationwide Insurance on your Facebook page. Hey, we're local. You should do business with us. We're going to be here for you when you file a claim. Oh, by the way, don't you freaking call my office number. Call this 800 number and talk to Sally in China.
Because it's the weekend and we're not working.
Yeah, exactly. And I understand there's situations. And by the way, we have some carriers that's the only way you can file claims. But what we do is we get them on our phone and we three-way into the 800 number, don't do that. Like, that sends the wrong message.
I still say the funniest thing I've heard, great diatribe there, by the way. Sorry. No, it's fine. I loved it.
I felt like I was Scott Howell for a minute.
I know, right? The funniest thing I've seen was on Twitter when CJ sent out I'm assuming an automated text to somebody about the tornado that hit their house, but it was hitting their house.
Yeah.
While his automated message like, tornadoes in your area, call us if you have damage. Well, actually, it's hitting right now.
Yeah.
CJ, what happened?
Let's talk about, that was a segue because I want you to talk about what you do with the
That's
mapping.
Hilarious, by the way.
Yeah. So basically, we have every one of our customers on a map. And so what we can do is when a storm or tornado or whatever affects a given area, we can literally just circle it on the map with a pen and send out bulk SMS to all those people at once. And so what happened with that one was we were a little quick on the gun, so like we circled it, we sent it out, and they sent me a thing like, hey, it's actually still at my house currently. It's in, and I was like, oh, all right, should have delayed that one another,
You want me to go ahead and get the claim started?
Yeah.
Hey, when it's directly over your house because the eye of the storm is the calmest, give me a call and we'll get this claim rolling.
Right.
Yeah.
So what would have been even funnier is if it's like, hey, yeah, there's a storm there. Okay, cool. Here, call the 800 number when you get a chance.
So, CJ, you and I are in the same boat, which Bradley's a little different because his catastrophic plan is more geared towards the hurricane stuff down here because that's their
We
big
don't really
thing.
have tornado like even yesterday we were in the red, or Saturday we were in the red, but it's something about the Gulf kind of pushes things. Like we almost never get those bad tornadoes.
So, CJ, what is your severe weather, I guess, process like a day or two out, and then during, and then right after? What's your process like?
Yeah, so similar to Bradley, like if we get something kind of like we were dealing with on Saturday, where it's like there's a known event, like something is going to happen. If we get something like that, we're going to go ahead and start pushing out some stuff about it. We typically, like the text that you saw me send out, we don't immediately send them the link to like, hey, go ahead and file this claim with us. We send out a "Are you okay?" type text messages once this stuff happens. If they respond back to that and they're like, hey, it's not okay, with them, we have the same thing Bradley has. We'll send them out a link to control that flow. Because the other thing too that you have to remember, in a situation like that, like I relate it to the March 3rd of 20 tornado that hit Nashville, which I saw a TikTok video that was like the 4th most costly tornado ever.
And that one was out of nowhere, right?
Yeah,
like out of left field at midnight on a random Tuesday. And so that one, the other problem with trying to like get people on the phone is you spend 45 minutes on the phone because they all want to tell you this big long story, and that's all well and good, except for I got 800 customers that are also need me. So the text messages and stuff we've just always found are way more efficient. And then after, we'll follow back up. Anyone that is in an area that we thought got hit or we know got hit that we have not heard from, we'll continue to follow up with them until we verify that they're good.
Do you provide that data to your carriers too? Because one of the things we did after Sally is we put every claim, we created a map similar to how you do with your customers. We created a map of every claim we had, and each of the pins was color coordinated by the carrier. And each carrier knew what their color was, but they didn't know what the other colors were. And so we actually sent that to our carriers as if to say, hey, just to show you how you're performing compared to everybody else. And they really like that. And for those of you listening, the way you do that is on Google Maps. It's called, what's the name of the feature in Google Maps?
So I use something a little different now, just in case anybody's like, I can't draw on that. But there's a free feature called My Maps. So it's literally just like mymaps.google.com, and you can do a real basic overlay on Google Maps. And that's a great place to get you started. And then from there, I mean, that works for probably like 95% of applications.
But how do you get all from there? Yeah, how do you get all the customers' addresses in that?
So ours is synced with our AMS. So if I write a homeowner's policy for somebody like right now, it'll be on the map within like 30 seconds.
Gotcha.
You can also manually, I think you can upload a CSV of addresses.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so we used to do that. So when we were using My Maps, what we would do is right before we knew a storm was going to hit, we'd upload like a most recent CSV, from that day so that we had the most up-to-date data.
One thing,
and go with that.
One thing I do too with the maps is, because we've done a couple acquisitions here recently, is when we do an acquisition, I will get their customer address list and I'll put it on My Maps. Just so I can see where like the concentration is. Right.
It's a visual.
It's just nice to like if there's an area we know is super like flood prone or whatever, like oh crap, like they've got a bunch of customers here, Hey,
I'm gonna say this, and people can say whatever they want to. The one severe weather event that I don't send anything out on because it's so randomly could go one way or the other is snow.
Yeah.
Because these sons of bitches over here in Alabama, these meteorologists, they'll tell you it's going to snow 8 inches and it's barely enough to cover your damn patio table out there. And so why get people
all riled up?
It's got to be an event like Saturday, which, by the way, I know Bradley down here didn't really see any. In fact, it didn't even rain at your house Saturday.
Nope.
We had one headed right for our house.
Yeah.
It was a bad day at my house relative to severe storms, but I don't think we had any long track tornadoes like they were predicting, which is a great thing.
Yeah.
Now we'll probably get some hail damage because I do know the National Weather Service out of Birmingham and Huntsville was tracking 2 or 3 storms. I know in Muscle Shoals, I got a picture of a neighbor of one of our clients holding a golf ball sized piece of hail. So that means there's going to be some pretty major, in some locations, a pretty major, hail damage issue for roofs. You know
how many times it lightning at my house? One time. It was. We went from like prepping all day to like it was nothing. But then my parents' house, which is 50 miles to the east, they got hit real hard. So it's just kind of luck of the draw.
And by the way, it never stopped lightning and thundering at my house from about 8 o'clock in the morning till 6:30. No, 8 o'clock at night. Really, I mean, it was a pretty good event. What about you guys, CJ? Did y'all get any of it?
So Middle Tennessee kind of got spared, or the southern side of Tennessee got a couple of like short, F1s or whatever. But we had crazy amounts of rain. Like it with a lot of flash floods, those kind of things. But I was kind of like you, where it was storming basically all day, but we never had any, anything super crazy other than rain where I'm at.
I have a prediction: if a tornado ever hits your town, you're going to be the only one spared because you're the only one not in a trailer.
Oh, Kim got so mad at me about not going to the storm shelter. I was like, it's too late to go to the storm shelter. If we were going to go to the storm shelter, we should have, because, I mean, we had a siren about a half a mile from our house. And
I heard that siren going in that video.
What was so creepy about it was it also had a guy's voice going off. Take cover immediately. And I'm like, what the hell? I've never heard that before.
Yeah. I'll give you guys a tip on your phone. So y'all get like the emergency weather alerts. Sure. There's actually an enhanced feature on the iPhone. So if you go to notifications and you scroll all the way down in notifications and go to emergency alerts, there's a middle button that says local awareness, which actually tracks your actual location, so it's more accurate. It'll whereas if you don't have, it'll notify you if there's one like in the area, but the local awareness is more. So I made everybody in my family turn that on. Yeah. But let's transition a little bit to what we actually was going to talk. We're going to talk about, which was referral partners and generating unlimited referrals. I think would be a good title for this episode. So. CJ and I got together a couple months ago, and Portal's referral partner process is and has always been centered on not necessarily targeting every realtor, not necessarily targeting every loan officer, but targeting the right loan officers. And CJ and I put our heads together a few months back and said, there's not really a program for insurance agents that helps them target the right lenders and the right realtors. And, there's things like, MyEdge for commercial, or Leo for commercial, or Insurance X Date, or Cole X Dates for personal lines. But there's really not a database or a technology tool or SaaS product for targeting lenders and realtors. And there really should be. So we, through a lot of work, a lot of trial and error, put this together. And we wanted to talk to you guys about it today. It's not a sales pitch, but if you sell personal lines insurance and work with lenders or realtors or want to, I think this is a podcast you want to listen to. So CJ, you want to talk a little bit about sort of what led us to this?
Yeah, sure. Real estate, the entire real estate transaction, like our agency was built for it. Bradley, I'm pretty sure yours was built kind of around that same idea as well. And I think that the thing that drove me the most with this, and I know you have a pretty cool story on your end, Bradley, but there's just so many realtors that you're chasing all the time, right? Realtors and lenders, and you're chasing them and you're chasing them and chasing them. And it turns out they don't do anything.
Yeah.
Right.
Like the average real estate agent in America makes $15,000 a year, which is one home a year.
Right.
And it's always the guys and gals who are loudest on social media that are selling the least.
Yeah, 2024, I think it was 74% or something to that nature, didn't do a single transaction.
Wow.
In 2024. So that means, if you're targeting real estate agents, 3/4 of them aren't doing anything, right? And so for me, that's a problem, right? We're spending marketing. So for this product, we were like, how do we figure out a way to show insurance agents what these people are actually doing? I almost call it like fact checking them. And so that's where Referral Radar was born. And essentially, this platform will allow insurance agents to go in and see in real time. And when I say real time, the data updates daily. What their referral partners or people they like to be their referral partners in the real estate space are actually doing from a volume perspective, and then from a like actually down to the granular level of like these 2 realtors worked on this deal with this lender and this title company for this address. And we're able to dive that deeply into it. And so essentially what you as an insurance agent can then do is use that for prospecting purposes. Finding the right lenders, finding the right real estate agents that all are doing the kind of deals that you want. Because like, I'll give you an example. It would suck if you don't have a good market for, call it manufactured homes, right? And because you brought up the trailers earlier, but you chase this realtor that you see is doing 60, deals a year, but turns out they're doing 60 manufactured homes a year. You wasted your time chasing that person, right? So what this allows you to do is to dive into not only what kind of volume these people are doing, but also what exactly it is that they're doing deals on.
Hey, CJ, does it show when you deep dive in, or when let me back up. What information do I have to put into the search profile to show that is just the person's name? Would it be like Adam Hammond? And if I type in Adam Hammond in the states, Alabama, it's going to pull up how many transactions they've done that year, that month, that week kind of thing?
Absolutely. So you can do a couple things. So like if you have a specific one in mind, you can search obviously by the person's name.
Sure.
But you can also take that a step further if you are using it for prospecting and go in and do a general search based off closings in a given area.
Gotcha.
So if somebody's got if you're looking at a certain zip code, you can go in and look and say, all right, this guy has had this many closings in this particular zip code, and then you can rank them. And so you have the ability to see, all of that. And then what was the guy's name you mentioned there?
Adam Hammond. He's typically one of the top 5 really in the state of Alabama. He's up in Guntersville, Alabama.
Well, I'll tell you guys a story, and it's relevant about Adam Hammond. So I went to GNN Insurance in 2017, and they were doing the lender stuff, pretty heavily back then. That's basically what they built their whole agency on. And I called him. I was like, hey, guys, if I fly to Boston, will you teach me your process? Like, sure. So I've literally flew to Boston for a 4-hour meeting, and they taught me their whole process. Well, part of their process was there's a website called Scotsman's Guide, and Scotsman's Guide lets you, they rank the top 1,000 lenders in the country. And so I'm all excited. I get back home, and there's one lender in Alabama on there, and it's Adam Hammond. And I call Scott. You remember this?
Yeah.
And I called Scott, and I'm like, hey, do you know Adam Hammond? And he's like, yeah, I'm looking at his kid right now. He spent the night at my house last night.
That's exactly right.
And I'm like, of course, the one freaking guy in Alabama on there.
And so he's not even a referral partner of mine.
And that really, in 2017, sort of started the journey for this Referral Radar stuff, because it's like there's got to be a better solution. I found a data.
Hold on. By the way, to add to the ridiculousness of that story, which is 1 billion% true, January of 2025, we're in March of 2025, Adam Hammond closes on a loan for one of my employees who bought a house. And guess how much business we still get out of Adam Hammond? 0.0.
Well,
so just to kind of tell you like the power of the tool, like given what you guys were just talking about, I pulled up Mr. Adam Hammond. So I'm hopefully he's okay with us sharing it.
I don't care if he is or isn't, but he's fine.
He's
fine.
I was with him.
I was with him about 2 weeks ago, but go ahead.
I was gonna say he's done 50 transactions in the last 14 months. So that's pretty good.
That's pretty solid, yeah.
About 25 million in volume.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Not bad.
And so from like a prospecting angle, you can prospect certain lenders. You can prospect lenders that are in a certain range, lenders that do a certain type of loan. If I'm a veteran and I want to look for people who have done VA loans, or if for some reason you do a good job with refinances, or you want to exclude people who've done a bunch of refinances, and that's, there's one shop here in town that does a ton of loans, but all they do are refinances. Well, there's not always going to be an insurance need in a refinance, so we don't necessarily go out. You can really narrow it down, but then you can also look at, okay, what are the addresses that they've done? You know what I mean? We can get down to like, hey, who sold this house? What addresses were they? And then what lenders did they work with? What realtors did they work with? And vice versa.
And this is all residential. It's not commercial, right?
Well, it's commercials on there, I believe. But one thing
just kind of mixed it. It's hard to decipher.
Yeah, one thing that we're using it for is, let's say there is a lender. Like, I'm all about like soft intros. Like, I'm almost never the guy that's going to pick up the phone and call somebody I don't know. Let's say there's a lender that's doing a ton of loans in this area that I don't know. And that's usually how it goes, guys, with mortgage lenders, is the guy or the gal that's doing the most loans is usually the person you've never heard of. They're not posting on social media because they're super busy and they don't have time to do that, right? But what I will do is I will go to a high-performing lenders page on Referral Radar, and there's a tab on there. You can see all the realtors that they work with or that they've done deals for. And I will scroll through that list and find a realtor that I know.
Right.
And reach out. Like, okay, this guy works with Jeff Jones, who's a good buddy of mine here. I'm going to call Jeff and be like, hey, I want an introduction to Sam Smith. Can you? Absolutely. Yeah, I'll definitely make that introduction. So you can kind of through the 7 degrees of separation, figure out how to get to somebody through this tool, and it's info that you would not have otherwise.
Hey, can I ask you two a question? Because y'all are so smart and you do stuff like this. Why can't the two of you put your heads together and figure out the same concept, but instead of it being loans closed, is there a way that you could figure out who is working on a loan for someone on a house right now? Because I've always said that, the time to get in front of somebody to sell them homeowners insurance is the time when they're thinking about purchasing a home. And the earlier in that stage you can get to them, you see what I'm saying?
That's probably a little tougher.
Like if you could figure.
So most of the the data is coming from when that transaction actually closes, right? And so it's hard to catch it on the front end. However, Bradley and I have talked about, man, what about if you take this closed data and then cross-reference it against like a Colex dates to build some stuff on the backside, which absolutely is doable. So you might not catch them at the transaction, but you could definitely accurately catch them on the.
And by the way, you don't even have to. What you could do as an agent is you could look at a lender and pull all the addresses that they've done loans for, and then that also has the date that it closed, and you could almost build your own Cole X date list from this.
Oh, absolutely. Another thing I've thought of is, why hasn't somebody come up with a way to tap into the IP address for Zillow? Because what's the first thing somebody does when they start looking for a house in an area? They go to Zillow and they start like looking around on Zillow at houses in that neighborhood. And if you see somebody on Zillow a lot, if you could come up with this information, then you probably know that person's about to fire down on a house.
True.
But I don't know how to get that information either. That's another hard one to wrap your head around, like, because I don't think
they sell that data to the real estate agents.
Sure they do.
So you need to have the relationship with the real estate agent.
That's right.
But one thing that's really neat with the Referral Radar thing is it's fully linkable to your CRM or AMS. To most, I think most AMSs and all of the CRMs is
any modern CRM, you can do it.
You go in there, you find a realtor that you like or a lender that you like, you can hit a button and it shoots that info over to your CRM. So if you have like a pipeline where you track referral partner relationships, you can drip market to them, that sort of thing. And then you can also track certain realtors. So you can, within the program or lenders, you can hit a button and it'll notify you when they do a deal.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know, one good use of that would be you turn on notifications. Bing, you get notified they close a loan on 123 Main Street, Mount Juliet, Tennessee. Hey, pick up the phone and call the gal and say, hey, I just saw that you closed this loan on this. You know, we would have had a great rate on this. The next time you get one like this, send them my, like, there's a million different angles.
Yeah.
And that was like the reason that CJ and I wanted to create this, was to put a powerful tool that is super useful. I mean, even if you're not prospecting lenders and realtors, if you sell personal lines, like this is a tool that is so powerful.
Absolutely. And so, like, Scott, I'll give you a use case. Like for us, you know, we use pipelines. So we'll pass them from Referral Radar. We scout out which ones we want to work, pass it into the pipeline, and then our team works a pipeline, and we have, you know, connect with them on social. We have, you know, meet them for coffee, et cetera, et cetera. And so you can push them down that line.
Gotcha. Hey,
one feature that we just launched, I want you to hear this. One feature that we just launched, you know, I'm a competitive guy, you're a competitive guy, so we decided to launch a feature that allowed you, if you wanted to be an early adopter of the tool, to block your competition from getting to buy it. So if you, as what's Huntsville zip code?
35801.
So if you wanted to be the only person in 35801 that has access to the tool, you can be.
And then you pay more money to get the.
You do.
Okay.
But it's a very small amount. And the idea is if someone was in a zip code with a ton of lenders or a ton of agents, and they wanted to make sure they put a moat around this tool, is we have that, similar to David Carruthers with Killing Commercial, is you have that, what you call geographic exclusivity to your agency.
Wow.
Yeah. We can keep talking, CJ. But like, I'm a competitive guy, and there's certain stuff that I don't necessarily want my competition to have or get access to. You know what I mean?
I mean, absolutely.
And so,
absolutely
it's kind of a neat little thing that if you want to do that, you can. Now, that's one of those things that, you know, the longer you wait, your zip code, you know, we're probably going to, somebody else in that zip code's probably going to buy it. Somebody else might already have blocked you out. You know what I mean?
I had somebody try to block me out this morning, Brad.
Did you really?
That was good. Yeah, we had somebody reach out, try to block out my zip code, and then I had one for San Antonio. So there's a bunch there. So yeah, it's a cool tool, guys. And there, the other, you know, a couple other angles too that you can attack with it is, you know, you can actually look at like new listings that are coming on the market. You can track those. You can also, if you're like prospecting, you can pull up the rosters for like full offices. So like, let's say you drive past somewhere and you're like, oh, there's a real estate office right there. You can go search the name of that real estate office, and it'll pull up the volume for that entire office collectively. And then all the individual either LOs or realtors that work in those branches, it'll give you all of their individual data as well.
Yeah, you know, because like in our agency, like we've got many referral partners that work in an office with many other lenders, and this referral partner may be a strong referral partner, but we don't work with anybody else in that office. And so you can sort of track and say, okay, you know, John does 10 loans a month, but Sally, who's 2 desks down from him, does 9. I'm going to ask John for an intro to Sally.
Absolutely.
You know,
and coming from that internal referral like that has a lot of weight to it.
100%. 100%. Because the thing is, you got to remember, if these guys are in the same office, they're competitive with each other, so they may not actually share stuff very often.
Yeah, you got to specifically ask the question in order to drag that out of them.
The funniest thing to me is the guys and the gals that post on Facebook, and you're like, oh man, I bet they're doing a lot of loans, and you go to look them up, and it's like they don't. Yeah, it's like
very few. Yeah, and you know, it's. I think you said it earlier. It's kind of like the loudest one does the least amount of deals. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think the only thing that I'd like more than this tool is if we could do it for insurance agents. But that's a different data set for sure.
Yeah, that is, and you know. I know there's some features that we have in the works that we can't necessarily talk about on this, but I don't know, guys. Like, those of you who listen to this, I mean, it's something that we wanted to create for the industry. It's not a money grab by us. Our what we keep from this is very, very nominal. It was just simply CJ and I trying to put something together that would be super useful. And the way that I look at stuff like this and stuff that we build, you know, I want it for my agency. Like, I want to build it for me. And then, oh, by the way, this is really cool. So we're gonna offer this to other people.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
And that was exactly my thoughts too.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I mean, you know, we tried to build a personal lines rater a few years ago. It ended up not work. We ended up sunsetting it for Gaia, but you know, that was the plan with that, is like, let's make it really good for our agency, and then let's try to bring some other people on here. You know, I think, you know, the rising tide lifts all ships and that sort of thing. Like, I'm never going to be the guy to try and gatekeep technology or tools or anything like that, regardless of what Scott thinks. And then I'm also working on a project now with a company that we sort of advised him in building it. It's a carrier download tool it allows carriers that don't download to download, and we'll have that guy on the podcast in a few weeks. But you know, we set out to build that for our agency, and we're like, wait a minute, there's probably a lot of other agencies that can get use out of this. You know,
Absolutely.
But yeah, you know, and I'll give everybody like some free game. Like, the way that we reach out to our lenders when we find a lender we want to work with that we don't work with is, and the biggest advice I can give you, we use cold DM, right? We don't phone call. We use cold DM on social. The biggest piece of advice I can give you, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this, CJ, the biggest piece of advice I can give you if you are going to cold DM someone is, don't do it on LinkedIn, don't do it on Instagram, don't do it on Twitter. Find their personal Facebook page and DM them on there. Number one, because you're going to get a million, like since we've been on this podcast, CJ's probably gotten 15 DMs on LinkedIn, and they're all automated, right?
I have five LinkedIn notifications currently. So
yeah. He just looked over at his other screen. So I DM them on Facebook, and I do that for that reason. But the other reason is I want them to see me as a person. You know, you typically don't have pictures of your family on your Twitter, or I hope you don't have pictures of your family on your Twitter. Pictures of your family on Twitter or LinkedIn. You know, I want them to see that I'm like a real person. I'm in their community. And then what I always do, CJ, is I send them a video message through Facebook Messenger. Number one, because it's a lot harder to ignore a video message. Number two, I want them to know that it's not automated. I want them to know that I made this message for them, right? It increases the chances that it converts. And C, I want them to hear I want them to hear the genuineness in my voice.
Absolutely.
And by the way, I got that from Zach and Matt with GNN Insurance. That's what they would do. And the message is very simple. It's hey CJ, it's Bradley here with Portal Insurance. Look, man, you know, we work with a lot of lenders and realtors that are in your world, and every time your name comes up and it's in a positive light, I'd love to grab coffee one day and just pick your brain for a few minutes.
Absolutely. And that was what I was referencing earlier. You know, we have a pipeline specifically built for that, to where, you know, we'll have a cold lead, meaning that we haven't really done anything. And then we'll move that to a connecting on social stage.
Yeah.
And from there, we're connecting with them on social. We're also going to go a little bit further than that, Bradley. Maybe you guys do this, you just didn't mention it, but we're going to go in and actually start having some light engagement with them.
Yeah.
Right. We're gonna do whatever. And I always set this hook. This is my thing. Is I'm always putting out content on social. The second they engage back, it's game over.
Yeah.
That's what it's over for whoever else is involved. We're gonna get them at that point, and that's when we do the DM, and it goes from there.
Another thing that I've done too is, you know, it's sort of poo-pooed on in the insurance world when you friend somebody on Facebook and you invite them to like your business page on Facebook. But realtors and lenders do a lot of that, especially realtors. And so one thing that I use as my opening is I friend request a lender on Facebook or a realtor on Facebook that I'm prospecting. 9 times out of 10, within an hour, I get a John Smith invited you to like his John Smith Keller Williams Facebook page. Right. I use that as an opportunity to reach out to them.
Absolutely.
Because they are asking me for something, and I'll reach out and say, hey, I just saw you invited me to like your page. I did that, no problem. I'm going to be in your area tomorrow. I'd love to stop by for a few minutes and chat.
Absolutely. And that's a great spot for Referral Radar, because you can then, before you do that, check and see like, hey, is this person even somebody I need to waste my time with?
Well, and like one thing that I've often told people with Portal, we grew really fast in our first year, by all accounts, and we did that off of 5 lenders. Like we just had 5, and obviously we got other like natural occurring business, but as far as like consistent referrals, we did that off 5 lenders. We had 5 really good lenders who were the right people that we targeted, and they sent us every deal that they worked on. Like that, like you don't need every realtor under the sun. You just need a few really, really good ones who do a ton of deals that are going to loop you in on everything that you do. And, so what we used to do is, there was a company that was a data aggregation company. And essentially you could go to them and you could request any kind of list pertaining to real estate. And I would go to them once a year and I would buy a list of every mortgage lender in the state, or excuse me, in my counties. Okay. And so it was very expensive. It was $500 per county, and it was just a snapshot. It was not an ongoing thing, right? It was just like, this is what John has done this year, right? So like, if I wanted to buy every county in Alabama, that would actually cost me about $33,000 is what that would cost me for just a snapshot, not an ongoing, not a ping, John is, and it was just a CSV file. You know what I mean? So like one like awesome thing about Referral Radar is for literally like 1% of that cost, you get every single county in every single state in the United States of America. So we're not like, this isn't limited, guys, like by state. It's not limited by country. It's not limited by county. Like you buy this unless, as long as you haven't been blocked out by your competition already, as long as the zip code's not locked down, you get access to the entire United States of America. And we should clarify on the zip code lockdown thing. It doesn't lock down the lenders in those zip codes. It locks down the agencies in those zip codes.
Right. So your competitors that are in that zip code cannot buy the product.
Correct. But yeah, so it's one thing. I think it's something that CJ and I are both very proud of, and we wanted to bring to you guys today. Like I try to, anything new and exciting that's coming to the industry, we try to bring to the podcast today. So while we've got everybody here, CJ, like tell them if there's anything I missed, let me know. Tell them if they want to go ahead and sign up, where they go to do that. If they want to get a demo, where they go to do that. And it's probably a good opportunity to promote our webinar too that we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously the website is up and live, referralradar.com. If you want we have a special for the IGP guests. If you go /IGP, you can find out that, and there's a promo code that's IGP. So for Insurance Guys Podcast, that'll knock, I think it's like $100 off of it on your first sign up,
which is basically all of our profit.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, when you sign up, just know you cost us money, but that's okay.
Exactly.
because we're totally good with that.
And then CJ and I are doing a webinar in a few weeks. If you're listening to this and it's April, it's too late. But CJ and I are doing a webinar
on a site, by the way. I didn't told you that yet.
Yeah, we can make it.
If somebody listens to this beyond, go back to the Referral Radar site. This will be hosted there.
Perfect. Yeah. So we're doing a webinar where both I and CJ are going to take you guys through our entire how we generate referral partners process in our agencies. The same thing we teach to our producers. I just hosted a workshop at Portal last week called Under the Hood that we had 6 agencies from all across the country came in and paid. It's a paid workshop. And I don't really promote it because it's not a money-making endeavor, but one of the presentations that we got the most feedback on was the referral partner one. And so like we're going to give this webinar is free. We're going to give this to you guys. It's just how CJ and I, who I would bet we're like 2 of the top referral partner producing agencies in the South for sure. How we generate those relationships and take someone from an unknown potential referral partner to referring us every single deal that they do.
Absolutely. And that's on the 31st at 10 o'clock or 10:30 Central. But we have a sign up for that on our website as well. That's referralradar.com /IGP.
Cool.